Hello, my name is Sean Sokola. I'm a student here at Augsburg. I am going to be talking today about global business management. This is a reflection on Latin America, their culture, their history, the logistics, some gathering perspectives from speakers, own personal experience, and from Becker's book, Doing Business in New Latin America. So, a bit of history first. Latin American business practices were developed through inward-looking, government-regulated markets that contrasted with the laissez-faire business policies evolving in the U.S. This was due to the aggressive history of settlement, its own establishment as a separate entity, and its love-hate relationship with the U.S. The U.S. provides a huge amount of funding in both healthy and unhealthy ways. It provides funding through a lot of tourism because of the huge difference between the U.S. dollar and the peso. And because of that, though, when a city becomes touristic, the market price of everything else drives up, making it virtually impossible for most people to afford things that we would take for granted in the U.S. For example, people would have to work an entire shift just to buy a package of diapers, and which is we consider a necessity. Not unlike the U.S., racism also occurred, but it was different in that every drop of white blood raised up one person's status. This led to class systems being developed and goes on in history to who was wealthy in the economy versus who wasn't. 500 years ago, Spain's efforts to control every detail in the economy led to the development of 5 institutions that shaped this new world's business systems. The first being statism. Statism is when the state controls the economy from the top down through different mandates, through different laws. The state controls how private business can grow and opportunities of the market, and this still partially shapes the perspective towards privately owned businesses, where monopolies are a lot more common, and sometimes they're being funded through different political figures. The second one would be the civil law and legal labyrinth. This is common law versus civil law. Under civil law, the right to act always rests on judicial ruling. The limits of what is allowed is predetermined under a strict code of legal behavior, hardly ever changing. In common law, there's always change developing as time progresses, making it relevant to today. Latin America is under civil law. America in itself is under common law. The third is going to be corruption. And corruption is really significant in the history here. It's the lack of integrity in officials, in their pockets, as well as in general business ethics. Profits are the main source and also part of the solution for making things difficult. You'll notice there are things like payoffs, bribes, and those bribes can directly be linked to hostility of public officials. So naturally, payoffs become accepted as a social norm. If you were to not accept a bribe through a political figure, you might be dooming your entire company. Number 4 is personalism. Business relationships here are based on personal relationship. A good deal for my friend is the law for my enemies. This means that when your friend or co-op that you're working for with a different business comes in the door, you're more apt to give them a good deal. But when somebody else comes in that you have no idea who they are, it's going to be the law. It's going to be a legalistic type of discussion. The last one is number 5, the cult of power. This is the shift from conquerors to the conquerors. They traded one ruler for another. The Aztec Empire for Spain to the government now, leading to today's business ethics of micromanaging and withholding information. It also makes it more apt for people that are working in these businesses not to speak up against corruption. Some logistics. Zoila Luna, the coordinator of Don Sergio Mendez Arceo, which is otherwise known as DSM, is a historian. They're record keepers. I will provide you with some information that she provided us that has been taken from the census in 2010. We had a great opportunity to sit in on our class, and it was very well informed. As of the census in 2010, Mexico has a population of 112,336,538 people. 54% which are women, 46% are men. 54% of the population live in poverty. Reasons being, the average hourly wage here is about 8 pesos an hour. So about 64 pesos a day, and it's an equivalent for a work day for about $5 US total for one day. So of course, that brings me to the percentage of poverty, 54%. 60% of that 54% live in major poverty. These is mostly comprised of young people and indigenous communities. This has led to gang development and illegal activity. It's just a lack of options towards making a better life for yourself, and sometimes those kinds of things can have some kind of a structural background. Why is this so hard? Young people are hired on flexible contracts per hour. It's not like in the US where you have a set schedule. You might get 10 pesos per hour but only work 3 hours a day. 30 pesos earned and 20 pesos for transportation doesn't add up. There's outsourcing for labor to avoid contracts, abuse of trial contracts within the companies, where they allow somebody to come in and work under a trial contract where they're not getting the paid schedule, and then they come back and they just put them back on another trial contract. Next, I'm going to be talking about the information that we were able to get from the speakers and lectures that I've had the opportunity to listen on. We went to the market survey. We did a market survey where we went to the market, which is down this way, and we found out the price for vegetables and fruits, which is completely a lot higher than in the US, and we found out about the 8 pesos per hour for most people that are uneducated. Then we took an eco tour to Cascada, the waterfall of Colonia de San Anton, with Emmanuel, and he talked to us about his viewpoint growing up and the change due to economic progress. The city that was here used to be a smaller village, and when it grew up and there was an earthquake, it wasn't organized the best way, so then it ended up polluting most of the river. We went to home of Erica Campo, and we visited her, and she talked about the school closing because there wasn't enough kids, this bridge that was being built for 2 years, and then it just got unfinished. There was no organization. They developed a network in building up women in the community, giving them skills, personal skills, to get a job, to be employed. This program is called SERPA. It's Service for Peace and Justice, working with women from CHASPA to learn to make clothing and employment or education about unemployment, and it's currently being funded by the Department of Family Resources. So as you can see, there's a lot of private family-owned businesses that are used today in order to try and counteract the cheaper amount of pesos. We took an excursion to the Nawa village in Amatlan. We met a man there named Nacho, Ignatius Torres Ramirez. For education, he explained to us that in general, it's really necessary to leave home. Education doesn't come easy. As a kid, he worked 7 to 11 a.m. Then he went to school. He got home around 9 p.m. and then had household work until 11. And this is very typical for a lot of the people here. But as far as the culture goes here, knowledge, wisdom, life, discipline, those are what's valued as high expectation. There's a businesswoman by the name of Roxanne Villa-Michel. She talked about cultural differences, time management, formal greetings, emphasis on networking and working with what you have. People here are a lot more approachable, and it's a lot more formal. It's a lot more affectionate. And people don't have a lot, so they work with what they have. What I've seen walking around can attest to the struggle for family-owned businesses in a corrupt economy and from statism. There's a lack of quality within most businesses, there's poor conditionings to work in, lack of knowledge, but I can't deny there are also areas of opportunity, especially when it comes to relations of culture. These people are very amazing. They want to get ahead. They have such a hard work ethic. I had the opportunity of meeting a younger lady, or an older lady, I should say, who had very hardly anything, but she did well with what she had. A lot of opportunity here and a lot of sustainability. They have really close relationships with their family, and that's a good thing. They work for so much with so little, and they're happy. It's a different type of success. They have an openness to other people and to building relationships with those people. There is hope. As technology opens many doors, information is becoming more readily available. In Becker's book, he talks about 2021 vision, knowledge of democracy, business-friendly governments, consumer-oriented markets, legal systems towards small business, attest to acknowledging failures of the past to lead towards a brighter future. And that's 2021 vision. I found that culture, like I said before, has a huge role in business here, and it is becoming imperative and more accepted in today's society as a necessity for survival in the future, and allows for work and progress within the community. So it'll help a lot of the people, a lot of the younger people from going in and being involved in things that they probably shouldn't, and it helps indigenous communities that don't have access to a lot of the technological developments or things like that we take for granted. I see that the future of business here has to be integrated with the culture, has to be integrated with the history of what's been going on here. And I just really appreciate the time that you take to listen to this video, and I hope that it reaches more ears than one, and thank you very much.